everybody. My name is Mforifum. I'm professor of mathematics at Castle University in Maryland. I'm very honored to be here and to address this great gathering of students and colleagues. So I'm Bamon myself. I immigrated here in the US 23 years ago. And this has been a very welcoming place for all of our brothers and sisters for that work. Today we're welcome our king. The king is always all in campus. So I will use the few minutes I have to give you an introduction of who we are, Bamon tribe. The Bamon tribe was founded in the year 1394 by our first king. His name was Shaolien. It came from, let me show you the map of Cameroon. So here in this province of Cameroon, called Njyoa, so we had a major tribe that settled here. That tribe came from Sudan. So they migrated from Sudan, South Sudan, all the way and settled here in the plain of Njyoa. So during the succession of the king of the tribe, there was a huge power struggle between the prince, and he was not chosen to be the next king. And in that tradition, usually every prince from that tribe has to find a land where he can rule, because it was pretty much impossible to have all the princes in the same kingdom because of the power struggle that ensued after the succession. So his brother Bam, and his sister Mboso was kicked out of that kingdom here in Njyoa. They were kicked out and they left with their mom. Their mom's name was Yen. And in African tradition, his children were named after the mom. That's something that we had early on. Now we have changed after the position. So his name was Shaolien. So he left with his mom and his brother, his young brother and his sister. They came down here in the west province of Cameroon. When they crossed there was a river back up on here, it's a very good, so there's a main river here that crossed this land here. So they split again, because here. So then they split again, because we have three princes and a princess. So they split again. The princess Mboso went north, and she built her own kingdom up here. And the other prince Bam came down here, back here, and he settled the west side. So he created this new tribe, which is historical. This is actually the land of Bamon. So he created this new tribe, and because they had the mastery of building certain type of weapon based on iron, he was able to subdue all the other tribes that were already in his first province. Right? So, and he was able to subdue all the other tribes that was neighboring the land where he settled in, which is Bamon. So since then, we have 20 kings, and the king that will address this assembly today is the 20th of the dynasty. So he was crowned on October 10, 2021, after his father passed away. will translate to you his universal speech when he was crowned the 20th king of Bamon people. So, he said, my main position right now is the people of this land, Mbombo. See, the state where we are right now, it's my wish that we work together to improve the living condition of our people, our own people. All our people, all our own people, you are the tip of my spear. So, this has been in its history, the first time that, because we grew up, most of people in our region, as you all know in Africa, the population is pretty much 70% below the age of 35. And this youth grew up with most of the monarch being senior people. So here, as we are addressing the youth generally, he said, hold the youth, hold the youth. Again, you see how the youth is responding. He says, calling them, Bamon, hold the youth, and they are very in communion with their new leader. He says that hold the youth, this is our time, this is our moment. Now the land is in our hand. It's up to us to build this land the way we want. And this has been a rallying cry for all people to work together with this new generation, this new energy to improve living condition. And also this I hope this has brought the youth back to the tradition, seeing that the king is one of them. You see how after this war, people were very excited, very happy that now we have the king that actually look at us, feel our need, know our pains. Hopefully will answer all our problems. be restored to the youth that I count on you. So that we can together build our land, build our region, improve our living conditions. My door are open to all of you to come and ask whatever you want and propose what kind of solution you can bring to the table. Now he's making some prayer, saying that my wish is that God the Almighty will bring us together. So my goal, my prayer is that God will bring us together, so that all the people here in our land and those that are in diaspora will work together to improve our living conditions. That the Almighty God please bless our land. That the Almighty protect our land. That the Almighty protects the country of Cameroon. It's been a pleasure. So thank you very much for your attention.
Good free afternoon. Good free afternoon. Before I get my remarks, I want to thank the Vice President for Institutional Advancement for having the vision to have this moment here at the university and for bringing His Majesty to SUNY in Westbury. I also want to thank Black Studies for their role in making today's event possible. I wish to thank all of those behind the scenes, and I think you can imagine that there are numerous folks who are making this moment happen in the life of our university. And finally, I want to thank all of you for being here today for this momentous occasion. To His Majesty, the Sultan Mouhammad-Nabil Mforifum, Mbombo, Njyoa, King of the Bamon people of Cameroon. Okay, easy. For all of you who don't know, that's welcome. You may not sound like it, but I practice that. And today. welcome the studio of Westbury, our home in the forest, and the university with a long-standing commitment to public liberal arts excellence within the social justice tradition. We are honored to have you here, as well as honored to have your family and the entourage. Welcome, welcome, welcome. In this moment, I am reminded of an African proverb that reminds us of the nature of a person. It is the proverb of the scorpion and crocodile on the banks of the Nile. And eventually, in spite of the scorpion's insistence that he will not sting the crocodile who he's asked to take across the Nile, he still does so. Before the crocodile dies, he asks the scorpion, "Why, oh why did you sting me?" And the scorpion says, "Because it is in my nature. Because it is in my nature." Around the world today, and here at home, we are discovering the nature of our leaders, and many are not good. But when King Njyoa visited a museum in Berlin in June of 2023 and sat upon his throne, the throne of the Bamon people, we saw his nature. And when His Majesty was offered a 14-year-old girl to be his wife, he refused, saying that she is a minor and that she should be studying in school, and he offered to pay her school fees. In that moment, we saw his nature. Friends, today, we are fortunate to have before us the leader of almost 1.3 million people around the world with us, who is of very good nature. Your Majesty, King Njyoa, again, thank you for being here today. King Njyoa, the eldest son of the former ruler L. Ibrahim Mbombo, Njyoa, was enthroned in 2021. His Majesty first studied at Bamon, the historic capital of the Bamon Kingdom, an alumnus of St. John's University. We don't know what that is. An alumnus of St. John's University in Queens, New York. He majored in networking and telecommunications with a minor in social justice. So you know he feels at home here with that minor. He completed his graduate studies at University de Yaoundé and trained at INAM, Cameroon's National Academy for Administration and the Judiciary. He then worked at Cameroon's National Ministry of Territorial Administration until 2021. King Njyoa 28 is the 20th king in a ruling dynasty dating back to the late 14th century. The Bamon Kingdom, Sorry about that. King Njyoa 28 is the 20th king in a ruling dynasty dating back to the late 14th century. The Bamon Kingdom is among the most famous traditional kingdoms on the African continent. They have the historical distinction of having invented, at the end of the 19th century, their own phonetic script. Some estimates put the number of Bamon worldwide at 1.25 million people. The kingdom is situated in northwest Cameroon and is larger than the state of Delaware. The previous king, L. Ibrahim Njyoa, ruled until 1992, until his death in September. The new king, King Njyoa, is the late king's eldest son. Please welcome His Majesty King Njyoa to Sunio Westbury. I'd like to introduce to you Dr. Mforifum, Professor of History and Philosophy and Professor of Black Studies here at Sunio Westbury. Dr. Kandi is Dr. Kandi is a Franco-Senegalese award-winning poet and author of 4 collections. And I'm going to pause. She is one of the few in the history of the African world to have produced intact. Her work has been read and translated all over the world. And I'm thrilled to say that Dr. Kandi is one of our latest faculty members to earn the rank of professor here at Old Westbury. Thank you, Dr. Kandi, for being here for agreeing to interview His Majesty. Please, by all means, you may begin.
Thank you, Dr. Sams, and thank you all for joining us today. Warm greetings to our honorable guests, to colleagues, students, staff, and visitors. It is my great privilege to interview our esteemed guest of honor, the Sultan Mouhammad-Nabil Mforifum Mbombo Njyoa, on behalf of Sunni of Westbury. While our time together is short, please know, Your Majesty, that our interest in your perspective as the ruler of a kingdom that can be traced back to the Renaissance period is immense. So with your permission, let's begin. Your Majesty came to the US for university, and now this is your first visit since becoming the Sultan of the Bamon. Please tell us what you are hoping to accomplish during your visit.
I want to start with expressing saying that I'm very thankful to be here, very honored to be able to share the Bamon traditions with you. And I've been here for a visit. On the traditional side, I came to commune with the community, because after being crowned as a 20th king, I have to, according to the tradition, visit all the villages within the kingdom, and then go to the diaspora to visit and being able to talk to them and know what are their wills, and for me, what they think I could do for them. Yes.
And could you possibly expand on your first visit in the US now?
You're talking about now, the first visit, or the really first visit when I came?
Visiting the US after your coronation.
Yeah, I've only been here for some few days, 10 days, and I feel very excited to be back. It's so much of so many emotions, nostalgia, and I was waiting to be in New York, to be able to connect and see places that I used to see. I actually have something special about me being former diaspora, because I used to be one of them before I finished studies and gone back home. I came very early in the US, at the age where you kind of learn a lot. You don't know about the world, and you're starting to learn. And I always say that, you know, it was I was very thankful to be here, to be able to learn in this big country and great country, and to be able to, you know, have the mindset of the people here. And I think that I'm kind of formatted to the American style, and it's helping me a lot in what I'm doing right now in Cameroon.
As a matter of fact, I was going to ask you if your time as a university student had impacted you and if it informs your leadership.
Yes, of course. You know, being in the US is a lot different as an African. It's a lot different than being in any other part of the world. I don't want to name places. But what I'm talking about is that the American way is different because American were brought to understand other people. They were brought for diversity. They were brought to accept differences and being able to grow with those differences. So when I came, it was a lot easier for me to learn and to connect with the people here. So I think it is a big impact to be able to grow here, to learn. The style, the mindset is a lot different. People are more forward in the way they do things. They will look for the result. Whereas in many other cultures, there is a lot of, you know, diplomacy, the way you have to stand, the way you have to try to talk, you have to say this. And yes, it's helping me a lot. And I was here in the US doing telecommunication, like it was mentioned, but with a minor in social justice. So I think that being part of that program where you have to care about the others, think about the others, and go for looking for a better life for others, is actually what I'm doing right now in probably another scale, in a bigger scale. And I actually have one of the touching story about that, because I used to think that I was helping American until I bumped into a Bamon girl in one of the shelter, and that's when I felt that, you know, the most important thing in life is being a human being and having that as the priority before looking at, you know, any other things.
Thank you. And as Dr. Sands reminded us, your illustrious ancestor, the Sultan Ibrahim Njyoa, invented a script for the Bamon language at the turn of the 20th century. Could you please describe its historical and current importance?
All right, I always try to bring people back into the context where King Njyoa, the 17th, was forced, maybe not forced, but thought about creating a script. It was at the time where, you know, colonialism was very strong, and they found out that Africans and Bamon people were very attached to their culture. So it was very difficult for them to switch to change them, to implement their way of doing, because they were very attached. So they started, in order to be able to understand what was going on in the city, to bring some of the Bamon people to their country, to teach them their language and use them as spies so that they can, be around the society and tell them stories, telling them, updating them about what was going on in the city. So facing that, King Njyoa thought about, creating a language that was only spoken within his entourage and the people that he trusted. And it was one of the ways to fight that colonialism, which is something very important, because when they tell African stories, they don't tell it the right way. The first targets are kings, because you all read everywhere that kings were the one, trading people with goods and all of that. That we haven't had a chance as Africans to write our own story. We only read our story written by other people. You can imagine that being the case in the Bamon kingdom. Yes, a king was fighting for the preservation of his culture and the preservation of his people. And he was even brought to exile because of that, because he kept, thinking about how to fight that in a more thoughtful way, in a smart way. And they found out about that, and they decided to exile him to Madagascar. And while they kept him in Yaoundé, waiting to transfer him, he passed.
Script as a form of anti-colonial resistance.
Yes.
This is fascinating. Your esteemed father built a new museum in 2018. Tell us, please, about its importance to the Bamon themselves, and also the significance of the design and symbolism on the building.
Have you been in Fumba? Where you see the?
Not yet.
So the idea of the museum started during King Njyoa. And maybe before I go to the museum, one of the transition between the first question that you asked with what I'm going to say about the museum is that talking about the script. Everybody knows that African tradition is transferred orally, verbal, it's oral transmission. So King Njyoa is the one who allowed the Bamon kingdom to actually have his history and tradition written. So he's the first to use that script, because it's two different things. He created a script and he created a language. And with the script, it's a phonetic script. So you can write anything. You can even write Chinese, you can write English, you can write German. So he was able to use the script to write a book about the Bamon history. And that's the book that is helping us right now to know what to do in certain cases. Because it tells stories from the creation of the kingdom. So at the same time, he taught about a museum. He created a school system, and he created a museum. But unfortunately, during that time, the palace got burned. So many stuff were lost in the palace. But the idea was to preserve the culture, some of the items. Although most of the items in the museum were still used until now for rituals. That's why it is very important. So after he passed, my grandfather also taught about a museum, and he put down a museum, which was inside the palace, the big palace that you see, and which could not contain all the objects, because we had like 12,000 objects. When my dad became king, he made it a mission for him, for himself. And he began the project in 2000, I think 2012. And his idea was to build a bigger museum where he could keep all of the objects. So he started the project. Nobody believed that it was going to happen because of the architecture, which is the assembly of the Bamon emblems. You see the double-headed snake, which means victory. You see the spider, which means patriotic, hard work, because spider spend all the time, tidying up. So, and the double gong, which is an instrument, a musical instrument, and which represent patriotism, because kings use it to gather people when necessary.
What is the relationship between the Bamon people and this museum?
Oh, one of the good things about the Bamon Kingdom is that everything concerning the Bamon people, their life, their beliefs, came from a central organization, which is the palace, the king. So the king used to play the role of the one who think about the well-being of the people. So everything will come from the kingdom, from the king directly. That's why it's very important, and probably one of the reasons why we're able to keep that strong tradition, because there is a good connection between the king and his people, direct connection. We will talk about different history. We will talk about wars. We will talk about religion. All of these things. We will even deeply talk about tradition itself. All of it were put in place in order to satisfy the community. So the king was the one thinking about the well-being. What will be good for my people? The people will come to him when they need something, when they think about something new. For example, religion. All the religion came from the king, from the palace. When I say the palace, is the central management of the community. So the connection with the museum is pretty deep, because it traces the foundation of the kingdom, which involve all the Bamon. It traces all the bravoure, all the great things that Bamon people had done around the king, with the king. And it is a way to express the proudness of the Bamon people through their way of thinking, the way of doing, the way of working, and all of that. So there is a big connection to Bamon. That's all what it is about. They call it the Bamon King's Museum because we were easily able to trace that story through the kings, different kings. So different stages of the Bamon evolution.
Let's talk about Fumban, the historical and spiritual capital city of the Bamon, that can be traced back long before colonization. And I was wondering if, given its historical and cultural importance, does Fumban receive many visitors today, foreign visitors, just like in the past?
Yes, there's still visitors almost all the time until COVID came. So we all know about that. But because now that the museum is open, we still have visitors coming. And we're always happy to have them. We're used to having people coming, being interested about the culture.
And maybe as a final question, your kingship is in its early years, maybe so bold to ask you to please share your thoughts about what your own legacy as a king may be.
A legacy right now, I'm just starting my, I'm just starting the journey, let me put it that way. So a legacy, I think right now it will probably be too early.
So
I'm oh yeah,
maybe some features of your leadership.
yeah, maybe that way. Um, I've right now just been thinking a lot about how to improve the Bamon community's life. And at the same time, how can the Bamon kingdom community can impact the world? So I've been in deep thought about all of this. So first of all, when I was appointed, I thought that I believe, and it is true, that each king has his own legacy, has a mission to play. So I directly thought that we needed to develop the economic side aspect of our community. So which means creating jobs, helping people being growing in a sustainable way. Yes, I was thinking about that. But I also thought that the story of the Bamon people can contribute to the whole world evolvement, improvement. And sometimes I even think that here in the US it can be useful because, like I said earlier, we Africans, we never had a chance to write our own stories. People want to help Africa, but most of the time, they think that they can just probably bring things to Africa. But I think it is all about helping Africa in the way that Africans can feel comfortable about. Because what drives people and what helps people move easier and faster is their culture. It's accepting being proud of the culture and using the value that are within the culture to grow. I also think that the Bamon history can help the world in the sense that we are able to trace our proudness to the Bamon kingdom. The governance system of the Bamon people is an example for the world, the whole world, believe me. Because the Bamon kingdom exists since the 14th century. And since then, they were already able to find a place for women in the governance system. I'm talking about the 14th century. I don't know if in history you will see a lot of that. I'm not going to talk about the US. But yes. And we have been talking about women empowerment since we exist. It's not about the 21st century. These are different topics. The second topic, we have talked about King Njyoa creating a script, creating a language. We can even talk about the governance system. We have the Njyoa. The Njyoa is the Bamon festival that is biannual. So during the one, I'm just going to shorten it. During the one, there is a big event going on that everybody are all focused on. Can you guess what it is? The king being judged. So that's what it is. The judgment of the king. Judging the king about what he has done. Judging the king about what he has done, he has not done. And judging the king about what we need him to do. And that organization called Njyoa is a secret society. Well, sometimes people don't understand what it means. Secret society is not. It's not how you call it here in the U.S. Secret agent or no. That's not. It is. It is. It is a society. Is a group of people gathered for a cultural and traditional mission, who are assigned to a traditional mission. So that group of people called Njyoa, their mission is to judge the king. And they're choosing in the way that it can be equal within the land. So they choose people from almost everywhere. So they can be able to have the reality of what is going on within different places. So that's the whole, because they know what people are talking about, that are afraid to come to the king and say. And during the one, they're the one in charge to stand in front of the whole crowd. The king leaving his throne and standing while they're talking. So if at the end they judge that the king is still able to continue, they will allow him to sit on the throne. And if it's not the case, I mean, I don't want to think about it because I don't want it to happen to me. So that's basically what is happening, which is what we have today, which is called in different countries. In the US, they call it the Congress. In other countries, they call it National Assembly. But we had that since 500 years. Because that's the same role that they play in the assembly. They vote for the law. That is basically telling the rulers what they want him to do. We had that way before. So I think these things can help probably sometimes, the society can help the society to grow. Mostly in the US, where people are looking to reconnect and trace their origin.
Thank you very much. Thank you. We are very grateful to you for this beautiful intervention. Let's give
Thank you very much for sharing, for your words. I'm going to see if I, as president of this wonderful institution, have a little presidential and ask you a question. As you do, thank you. As you can see in this room, we have a lot of students, a number of students that come to hear from you. We pride ourselves on being an institution where we send out graduates who try to improve the world, right? We try to build an air of brilliance among them, capacity among them, but also commitment and interest in the humanistic core. You spend time here in the U.S. and then you went back home. And I'm sure during that time here in the U.S., you went back home frequently. The U.S. has this insidious way of leading one to believe that their approach to humanity is the best. and that it's so good that it can go to other cultures and other experiences and be applicable. You had to personally filter out that which you found useful and that which you didn't have found useful as a leader of the Women people. Can you talk for a moment to our students about how they use what they gain here and attempt to cross cultural borders in a way that is not that removes that sense of self-righteousness and really makes them helpful to other communities they may be seeking to engage in? What should they think about when they move across cultural borders such that they can really be meaningful to the communities they engage?
Are you preparing them to come to Cameroon?
That is one of our intentions, yes.
So yeah, the world is different. You will have different experiences depending on where you're going, depending on the history of the place where you're going. So of course you have to choose what. I can't just give you advice and make you no advices. I can't give you my point of view and just tell you, oh, you can use it everywhere in the world. No. That's the first thing you have to notice and you have to understand. So things are different. We are all different because we need to learn to know each other. If you were to come to Cameroon or Africa, I would say, you have to be able to accept the way people are. You have to accept that people are different. And sometimes people think that they always have to do things the way they want. No. You also have to make efforts in trying to see and understand why people are the way they are. It makes it easier for you in life. You accept it. It doesn't mean that you have to follow it. You have to know, but the fact that you know about it helps you, move, avoid things that you don't like, but you cannot reject that. So in the case of Africa, a lot of people are scared in Africa to lose their cultures. So when you come and they see you, eating with them, wearing the same clothes, trying to talk like me, they feel more comfortable. When I came to the US, it was my first trip to the US. I didn't speak the language at all. I had to go through ESL classes to speak English first before going to study my degree. It was quite challenging, a lot of challenge. But I think, the fact that I was able to accept, and try to understand people here was very important for me. If not, I would have been very, very separate from what was going on. Maybe trying to make people do things the way I am used to. No. I keep what I am. It doesn't change who I am, if I'm sure that it's something good. But I will try to understand why people are doing things. Maybe I may not be doing it, but the fact that I know will help me move and not hurt people.
And with that, let me thank all of you for sharing this moment, sharing this time with us, with King Njyoa. Our formal opportunity has ended, but I also want to thank Dr. Connie for her skillful interview. I just want to make a special note that, and make it very good. But you go pretty deep. You came with a good number of folks, and we want to acknowledge all of you. Thank you once again for joining the GMS And again, thank you, Katie. We are so honored to have you. We are honored to share this opportunity in this space, and welcome to the U.S. Welcome back to the U.S., and we hope that the rest of your journey here will be worthwhile, safe, and very, very, how did I say, productive. So we're going to have another opportunity. Some of us have already been pre-selected to stay in this room with the king to engage in another conversation. For those of you who have been pre-selected, I'm going to ask that you stay. If you are not, I'm going to ask that you leave. Thank you very much, and I'll be on the So now that we've done all of our selfies and photo shoots, we wanted to, Your Majesty, enter into exactly what you alluded to earlier. And that was a question around what might partnerships between a university like Westbury and the Bamon people in Cameroon look like. There are the typical ones that I'm assuming you're familiar with. The semester of kinds of experiences. In our minds, that is included. But here at Westbury, driven by our sense of social justice and our long-standing commitment to liberal arts, which we find to be a humanizing element for our graduates and for our university, we are interested in a partnership that may extend beyond simply our sending students, and you're sending students, our sending faculty, you're sending faculty. That really are about what we need as an institution to become a better institution, and what the Bamon people might benefit from as an extension of that partnership. And so with that, let me just signal a couple of people in the room that we did not have an opportunity earlier to introduce. In this room is the cabinet leadership of the university. They're the ones sitting primarily in the middle here. Right? They can raise their hand. Yeah. And so any partnership that begins to materialize, they're going to be the ones responsible for managing how that gets executed. We don't have an opportunity, we're not going to go around and introduce each one of you. Just know that you are very important, central core to the future of our university. And again, you're very important to SUNY Westbury. So I guess the question before you, Your Majesty, is what are some of the key elements of a partnership as we can imagine potentially working here?
We can, you talk about the standard that is known already for students coming for studying abroad and stuff. But at the same time, it depends sometimes basically it depends on the interest that the student may express. And probably from there, we can be able to focus on satisfying the interest. But what I'm basically thinking just like this is maybe providing them experiences about Africa, experiences probably about service. And I always like the fact that they will come back with something new, maybe that they have learned or they have learned doing or stuff like that. So basically, that's what I'm saying. We can just give a list of different things that can be possible, but we'll focus a lot more on the different interests of the students or the faculties or the university, what they want the student to, you have history department here, and they can basically target each aspect, and we can develop what can be around that we can offer. Yeah. But with teachers coming, yes, it will be also interesting. From here or from Cameroon to here.
That's an interest. Is there an interest in potentially seeing our faculty teaching over there?
Yes.
And researching over there. I'm drawn to some of the comments you mentioned in the middle of the interview with Dr. Mandi, where you talk about, you didn't say what keeps you up at night, right? Leaders obsess over what keeps you up at night, right? But you talk about your desire to really strengthen the Bamon people. I read it and walked away understanding that both at home and abroad. But you seem to recognize it in a way that it begins at home. And that strengthening, if you will, might require a plan and a plan of attack, let's put it that way. What I was drawn to as you gave that example was the possibility that our faculty as researchers in all areas of the academy, might find value and interest in doing research to support that. Right? Is there an institute among the Bamon people that may harbor the plan or the effort to do exactly what your goal as King is, and that is to advance the community? Is there such an institute that our faculty might be able to engage with and support their research efforts?
Yes, of course. The palace itself is an institution.
Yes.
And we'll go from there. And when I got crowded, I had so many ideas that I thought about putting it in a book. So I did, with the support of the United Nations in Cameroon. So they helped me put it in a format, international format that people can understand, put in the weakness and all of that. So the book is written, and within that book, I kind of express what is my expectation, for the Bamon growth from now to 2050. So in that document, you have different aspects of growth. We talk about education, we talk about culture, we talk about girls empowerment, we talk about, so the document is available, we just translated in English. So you will definitely have a version of that. And with that, you will have some more details on the different things that we can do. But yes, we have institutions that could hold that. So I put in place, even because of that document, I put it in place a bureau of the Royal Office for Development, which is the office where everybody with different ideas about development can come and get advices, and they can follow them. They can help them through what they're trying to realize. So yes, there are institutions that we can work, and even if you require an academic institution, we can still have that, because we have a University of Fine Arts in the Bamon Kingdom. So you have I'm just pulling out, different things that maybe if you see the one that you can choose, or depending on.
I want to give my cabinet a chance to ask questions. And the student. Oh, that's right. Where are our students? Okay, and our students. I want to give you a chance to ask questions.
I really fascinated, and I wanted to say, as a United States citizen, thank you so much for the wonderful things you said about our country and experience here. We're deeply appreciated. And I just wanted to ask, what is the one thing that you would, if you could communicate to people in the U.S. about one of the people, what would be that one thing? And what is the one thing that you would try to take back to them about the United States to the people there? Thank you.
The one thing I would want people to know about the Bamon kingdom will probably be the culture. We've been working a lot towards making people understand, helping with the Bamon script. And we have so many archives and stuff like that we're trying to protect, and that we'll also be willing to share with researchers so that they can study and know what are in those documents. But we have been thinking also a lot about teaching the script. Like I said before, it was a script created for a particular reason. That's why a lot of people don't use it, and we are afraid of losing it with time. So now we are open. We are not that the reason that things are changed. So we're thinking a lot about how we can, share it and make people study and write and what we can bring from here to the US is there are many things, of course, but I would think about education, thinking about I always say to people here, the diaspora, I say, you don't need to work hard in order to think about what to do home in Cameroon, for example. You can just copy something that you have seen here working back there. So I will take an example with libraries. If students, for example, in Cameroon, I've just seen one of the Bamon here that done it. I thought it was a brilliant idea. Never thought about it. So children have difficulties going to school. That's one thing. Parents, some of the parents don't have the means to pay for the school and pay for school fee for the books. And you have to pay for books every year. So it sometimes becomes difficult. And when they go to school, they can't do their homework because they don't have the book. So it may be a good idea to open like big libraries where students can come and do their homework. That's just, thinking just like that straight. But I've been working with one of my assistant here, former vice mayor of Bordeaux, is here, and he's probably going to say something because we've been working about that. So.
The 2005 division of Her Majesty.
It's the American style.
I'm what His Majesty has said. We are now trying to. Okay. We are now trying to create some tools to improve our partnerships in many institutions. And considering the royal vision, we are trying to focus on educational partnerships. So, if you have some ideas that can share during this royal stay in the United States, and my sister, Fatima Toumie, available to understand what the ideas we can implement together.
Any questions from our students?
Hi, my name is Njyoa. Thank you so much for being here. And the question I have is, what hopes do you have for Westbury students to explore Cameroon entirely, not just go abroad, but being here as well?
Can you say it again, please?
My question was, what hopes do you have for Westbury students being able to explore Cameroon in its entirety and not just going over there and exploring?
I didn't.
One more time. The door was open.
Slowly grow. So, my question was, how could Westbury students further their education on Cameroon, but not just going abroad, being here as well?
How they can come here, the student from Cameroon?
In Omar, yes. How could we learn more without going there ourselves?
How to make it happen for
Yes.
them to come here?
Yeah.
I mean, we can just, elaborate on the different, how do you say, it's like a form they have to fill into what we're expecting, like grades, measuring, and we can even talk about if you really want to make an impact, we will probably go to families that need a lot of help, for example, and yeah, it's just about what we want to do. Based on when they come, it depends also what are the opportunities for them when they come here. And America is easy to adapt here. I mean, it's easy to find yourself if you have an objective that you want to. So if they come, they will know, they'll be able to know what opportunities they have and what opportunities to create in order to survive. Of course, so maybe we will put that down depending on what is available and what could be useful.
Just to get an MOU
If I may, thank you again for coming. Hope you enjoy your stay here. My question is, not really a question, I guess it's a process. I'm a process person. I believe, how do you eat health? One bite at a time. So, to kind of get a cross-cultural program set up with Westbury, is it possible to maybe do something as simple as a pen pal, where Westbury students, maybe faculty, will communicate with students in Cameroon in the primary, I guess I don't know exactly how your schooling system is set up, prior to college, so that they will have a dialogue, hopefully, to establish a couple of things. The first, obvious, is the language barrier. So hopefully that dialogue back and forth assists with learning the languages. Second, it would assist in learning the culture, because you can ask questions, how that's a friend. And again, I think that might be something that would foster a relationship between two entities. And that's something that we could possibly consider.
Yes. It's a good idea. I think it's something, we can just go from that and we can set that up in Fumban, depending on the program and what they want to go through with them, that's there. It can work. It can definitely work.
You know what? I realize you may have questions for us. And so we're going to, after this one, if there's a question from you or anyone in the contingency, or else of the university. Yes.
Thank you again to your family and our church for being here. Part of the diaspora by via Dominican Republic in New York. I'm going to piggyback a little bit off of our students' question because he made me think about how can we start learning now about the experiences. And I know your background is in telecommunications as well. What does the virtual landscape look like in Cameroon? Would there be an opportunity for us to do some virtual teaching and learning exchanges, seminars, conferences, or symposiums virtually? And is there a capacity for that? So if you could speak to that. Thank you.
Yes. I mean, those are, some of the easiest way to make things work. Yes, of course, we can organize. For example, we can organize together with the university some conferences and with topics that we can choose, and we can make that happen. We can gather people there to learn and have probably those who cannot come, teach or speak on the virtual. And those are, basic good things that we can adapt it to easily, so it can work. We'll be open for that also. Yes.
I realize that I didn't open the floor to those who are here with me. Ask questions on Westbury.
Thank you, Mr. President, for giving us the opportunity to ask. There are a lot of requests in the university resources. As to be like to what you said before, so it would be good if following your idea about research, because as you know, our lecturing left treasure chest of information in books written in that street. Maybe the university can use the resources to visualize that street and also to translate some of the wealth of knowledge that our lake is legacy, because we also are going to learn about that legacy. And the whole world will learn about the legacy, the political system, the history of Cameroon. So maybe the university can have a center here, if possible, of African studies, where they can maybe research in depth about an African kingdom and being taught through the lens of African themselves, not through the lens of the colonizer. So maybe going that route will help us learn ourselves our history. I'm Bamon myself, but I can tell that I don't know how to do history. I don't know that much about it. So maybe through you will help us learn about ourselves, and also teach the world about who we are.
I don't know why I kept looking at Dr. Kandi. Sorry. Thank you for that. That makes a great deal of sense. Anyone else? Sorry.
I've been talking a lot, so
that's why we're watching.
Sometimes I have ideas that comes and I will easily forget. I went to Europe for the same reason, to meet with the community. I came here, but while I was here, I found out that there is a big problem, and we were talking about. I was thinking about how to to find solution. It is, we are trying to create a way to help the diaspora remain connected to their culture living here. Because I found out that they've been doing a lot of efforts with their kids, but sometimes it's very hard because they have to go to work, they have to fight for the ticket to go back home in order for them to wait. The children have to be well integrated here with the system. This is a lot difficult. So I thought that maybe there could be a program. Maybe together we can do it. Have a program set, and that can be follow up by the university here and by us in Fumban to kind of help those children, learn and be connected to the culture. Most of them are first generation. I was even making fun of them and saying, "Oh, you have received me. I don't see, you're still connected to your culture, but I'm scared that in I don't know if God gives me life, if I come back in 30 years, nobody will be available to receive me because they wouldn't even know who I am." And I was making fun of that, but it's a big problem. And really by doing that, we can even admit other African American who are interested, to know about the culture and.
Majesty, thank you again for being here today. As you know, I had the privilege to witness this past weekend with your gala in Maryland, when you received some African Americans who had recently found out that they were Bamon through their ancestry DNA testing, and you received them and also named them. Can you talk a little bit about your thoughts about the future of African Americans who, through new testing, are able to find out about where they originate from, truly? And for those that are finding out that they are Cameroonian descent, or more specifically of Bamon, can you talk a little bit about what your thoughts are regarding that and what you would like people to know about that process, and if there's something that you would want to do in the future that would encourage more people to find out about their heritage and lineage?
That's, every time I think about it, I say, your efforts is paying. The effort that you're making as an African American in the US to be understood, to be accepted, is paying. This is the fruit of that. And yes, if you start to get connected to where you come from, it's the beginning of a new story. I even say a more bright, full story. Because people can easily suffer here in the US because they don't know what to lean on. They don't know who to take example of. They don't have history and story told about how their parents, their ancestors were strong to fight certain aspect of life. That's the only way to move. If you don't have that, you will have difficulties. Of course, you will be facing some problems and be thinking that either you're the only one who faced that, or who had faced it, or either you cannot find solution because it's not human and you can deal with that, or you will not even understand what you have to learn out of it. But those who are still in in Africa can easily use those to grow. They will tell you, oh no, if you're having, eye problem, you can see, oh look, your great-great-great-grandfather had that same eye problem and he was still able to go to farm, he was still able to do good. Look at what he did. It gives you that strength to work. Maybe it seems small, what I'm saying, but it is very important for every culture in the world. That's how you move. So these people finding their roots, ancestral roots, is very strong, very important, very, very important, and it's going to help them. And it's going to help them a lot.
One final question.
Good afternoon, Nancy. It's not a question, it's more of a statement. You mentioned that a language was created to pass down your history and tradition. And from an American standpoint, all our history, for the most part, has been written. However, it's been written by others, so it's not a true history. And I believe the people of Africa have done a tremendous job at conveying their history verbally. And so I just find it ironic that you are now trying to transition the verbal history to now having it written, when I think we as Americans can learn a lot from the motherland in passing on traditions verbally. I think if we did more verbal history, we would have more of a true sense of who we are and where we come from. Our books here teach us that our history started with slavery, which is not true. And the verbal traditions that we could acquire from our ancestors, I think would be very beneficial to do that now. So I want to commend you, the forefathers, our ancestors, for passing on their history to us, so that we have a true sense of who we are. So thank you.
Thank you. It was a question? I thought that it was more like a statement of even what I have in my head, so that's why.
Majesty.
Thanks to
Thank you for the time you spent with us. Thank you for the people you brought to our campus today. But most of all, thank you for the way in which you've given yourself to us and provided for us, many of us, a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Now, I think as you've heard from me, my hope is that this is the beginning of a number of opportunities to come. Certainly, I am a believer that we have a whole lot of brilliance around this campus. And at the same time, we have a whole lot of interest in improving this world, doing good work, not just our graduates, but also our faculty. And so, our hope is that the things that we've talked about today will soon come to fruition, and that we will be intentional and looking toward the Bamon people, both diasporically as well as in Cameroon, and being fully connected and helping you as its king to realize your vision. So thank you again, and thank you to everyone who's joined us here. And with that, I can close up and we can do